Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Angel Storm. Thank you so much for joining me today. You guys had just hit 10,000 subscribers at the date that I am recording this video. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate so much your support for the channel. I do this really because I want to see a generation transformed and healed, filled with knowledge that they can actually use, that they will implement into their lives so that they will have healthier lives, that they will raise their children in a healthier home than what they grew up in or what they spent their adult life in. So you guys, thank you so much. I really truly appreciate that. It makes me feel like the past 2 years of doing YouTube has been productive, and I know that over 80% of the people who watch my videos don't subscribe. And so if this is the amount of people that's subscribing, I'm so filled with hope for all of the people that are still watching and not subscribing. So you guys, thank you so much. I really, truly, truly appreciate that. In today's video, I want to talk to you about what you're naming it. And this is such an important topic. On my YouTube channel, I have a whole playlist filled with declarations dealing with all parts of your life. What you name things is so important. What you name things, you have authority over. In the description of this video, I'm including a link to a PDF that I had released, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago now. But I'm putting the link there. It's free. You can download it. And one of the chapters specifically talks about names. You know, what you name things really matters. Whatever you name things, you not only are assigning a characteristic to it, but you are also taking authority over it. This is why it's so important that if you continue to speak over yourself, I'm so traumatized, I'm damaged, I'm broke, I have no time, I don't know how to do that. If you say these things over yourself constantly, this is not only the nature and the characteristic that you'll continue to have. You'll continue to be traumatized. You'll continue to be broke. You'll continue to be in a state of confusion, whatever it is that you're speaking out over yourself. But you're also giving authority to those words. So you're saying, it's trauma, come here. Because I'm traumatized, I'm always going to be traumatized, so more trauma, come to me. This is why I continuously speak about, number one, knowing yourself. If you don't know yourself, if you don't have an accurate assessment of your life, of who you are, of where you want to go, of the obstacles that are standing in the way of where you are now and where you want to be, if you don't know these things, you're going to just continue to do the same things that you do out of habit. You're not actually thinking about those things. Those are just your habits, and that's what you're going to do because that's what feels normal and natural. If you don't know yourself, you can never change your habits. Number two is that you are really aware of what you're speaking out over yourself, and before you get to that place, what your thoughts are about yourself, which goes back to knowing yourself. If you know yourself, you know the things that you think the most, you know the types of thoughts you have, you know the quality of the thoughts you have, and you know where those things need to get changed. When it comes to speaking out over yourself, over your situation, regardless of whatever point you are with a narcissist, maybe you're in a romantic relationship with them, maybe you're married to one, maybe you're being raised by a narcissist, maybe you are still struggling with siblings who are narcissists, regardless of the exact situation that you find yourself in, whatever you're speaking out about that situation, you should expect more of. And this is what I mean by attracting the same spirit in a different body, which I talk about all of the time on this channel as well. Do you understand when I gave that example just a minute ago about trauma? So if you continue to speak about yourself, I'm traumatized, I'm so traumatized, all my life has been filled with trauma, you are not only continuing to declare that this is okay for every part of your life. So in your finances, you should expect to have trauma after trauma. In your body, in your mind, in your business, in your relationships, trauma, 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 because you're also inviting the trauma to come. You're not just saying that trauma has always happened to me up until this point. You're also saying, from this point forward, what I expect is to have more trauma. You're inviting more trauma to come to you. So you need to start changing the way that you speak if you want to see your world transformed. All of this stuff, it results in your thoughts. The quality of your thoughts, the amount of thoughts that you have, these are all things that you need to change first, because everything that you see around you was first a thought. Somebody didn't just decide, I need a phone, I'm going to make a phone. It was first a thought of, what if we could communicate with one another even if we're not together, right? Every single thing that you see is a result of a thought. That's how powerful thoughts are. Thoughts that you act upon, whether that's with your actions, so something that you do, or something that you say, something that you write down, you give more power towards. I often tell my clients that you need to sit down to journal. This is going to help you not only analyze your thoughts, but it's also going to help you give a way for these thoughts to escape. Because a lot of times what happens is people have a lot of thoughts. And to all my INFJs out there who are watching me from your double cave, where you've stored up not only all of your thoughts about the events that have happened and all of the events that have happened to you, but the amount of times that you've relived all of those events that have happened to you now have their own kind of little section. You guys have got to journal. You INFJs, it's extremely important that you journal, because if you don't give those thoughts an outlet, what you do is you store them all up in your double cave, and then when it's enough stored up in there, you just spew it out to who's ever nearest around you. And it makes no kind of sense to anybody. You've irritated people. You're ruining relationships by doing this. It's so destructive in every form, and it's really unhealthy for yourself to even get to that point. So everybody else, you also need to journal, because when you don't, you still also are like collecting up all of these thoughts in a jar. And when the jar is filled, you just start saying things that you don't even mean. You'll start speaking out over your life, over your family. Watch what you say to your children when you get angry. That's a good indication that your jar was filled. Watch what you say to your spouse when you get angry, because that's also a good indication that your jar was filled. This is important for healthy people to do. Think about somebody who's in a narcissistic relationship, or who's in a situation that they want to get out of. All of those types of thoughts and feelings, they need an outlet, and it should be a productive, healthy outlet. Journaling is a very, very, very important step for allowing those thoughts a healthy outlet, so that you aren't acting upon those thoughts, just letting them pile up, and then just going out and impulsively acting on them. I have a whole video where I talk about the difference between responding and reacting, so that you can have a really good idea, again, about knowing yourself. Do you actually respond, or do you react? You'll find out when you watch that video. And it's also really important that you are taking authority over your life in the manner that you want to see it grow. So if I have been experiencing, I'm just going to take this as an example, several years of no financial growth, right? I'm nowhere near meeting my financial goals for years, for 2 years, let's say, in a row. I need to take an inventory of not just my money, which absolutely you need to do financially, like where did you put that money? What happened to it? Why aren't you growing in your business? Or why didn't you ask for a raise, or whatever the case may be for you? But you also need to look at what you've been speaking about it. Have you been saying, like, I hate going to work, I hate my job, I wish I worked somewhere else, this job does nothing but drain me. This job does nothing but drain me. That you've given authority for those words to come into manifestation in the natural realm. So you shouldn't be surprised when that job does nothing but drain you. So this is true in every area of your life. You give authority to whatever you're speaking out. If you don't want that thing to come true, don't say it. Don't speak it out over yourself. And when you see something, let me give you a really good example that from a few years back. I'm sorry, I forget her name, Sandberg, I believe. Facebook CEO, if I'm not mistaken, CFO maybe. She said, I want every little girl who's told she's bossy to be told she has leadership skills. She has leadership capability. And I completely agree with that. When your child is misbehaving in some way, you need to see what that is from a positive standpoint. Not that you don't ever correct or bring change to that situation, but you also don't just say like, hey, no, we don't do that. You see, telling somebody what they should not do is only half of the measure. So if you just say to yourself, okay, I'm not going to think that thought anymore, I'm not going to say that thought anymore, you're cutting the benefit of making that behavior have lasting impact short, and you're actually just leaving a void. So if you take something away, there's an empty space. You need to fill that up. So you need to fill that space up with words that are going to be productive. So it's not just enough to say, okay, I won't yell at my spouse when I know that my thoughts are piled up in my jar, and let it just kind of explode everywhere. It's not enough to just say I won't do those actions. It's replacing that bad behavior with a productive behavior. And you need to know yourself in order to know what kinds of thoughts you're having, where this is an issue for you, so that you can apply the best strategy for you and for your life. Because remember, part of knowing yourself is knowing where you are and where you want to go, and assessing the gap between where you are now and where you want to be, because that will determine the direction of the words that you should be speaking. So just for example, again, like let's say I'm at point A, I am a business owner, but my business isn't growing as much as I want it to grow. I'm just not going to stop speaking over it like this thing doesn't do anything, it's not growing, I don't know what to do, I'm hopeless, I'm helpless, this is useless. Whatever, I should shut it down. Any kind of those thoughts, it's not enough to stop thinking those thoughts and then speaking those thoughts over the business, right? I need to take an assessment of where I am and where I want to be. So let me say this to you in another way too. The more accurate your words and what you name it, the more accurate you will have results in. So if I'm here and I'm speaking all these things, it's not enough for me to just not say those things. I'm going to start saying positive things, right? So this business is successful. This business meets its goals every single month, right? Those are great things to be speaking over it. But what if I was speaking more specifically over it? This week, I'm going to have 5 new clients. This week, I'm going to make $50,000 in sales, whatever it is for you. You're going to speak specific goals for the things that you're talking about. You need to be aware about what you are naming it. And especially when you're recovering from narcissistic abuse, there's so much, oftentimes name calling and gaslighting, lies that you were told and you were made to believe, that if you don't uproot those things, you're just leaving a void that can just be filled with more lies, right? That void can be filled by the same spirit in a different body just showing up ready to occupy that space, or you can start planting healthy things there. So just as another example, this applies to every single part of your life. So for example, you're in an unhealthy relationship, you're leaving the narcissist, that's great. Let's say every Tuesday night you had family dinner, or you had some kind of thing that you had to go do with the narcissist. Not doing that thing is not enough. You need to now fill that with something that's going to be productive. So whatever it was that you used to do on Tuesday night, you need to now do something that's going to be productive for yourself. Whether this is joining a book club or taking a class online or going to the gym or whatever it is, meeting up with your friends, whatever it is that's going to replace the activity that you did with the narcissist in an equal amount, because whatever negative energy you've been experiencing for however long you've been experiencing it for, you want to replace that. So if it's been 24/7, if you've been experiencing the negative atmosphere of living with a narcissist for 24/7, you need to be in a healthy environment 24/7. Do you understand that there is not such a thing as, okay, I'm going to get rid of it and stop doing it, and now everything is going to be amazing? It only is amazing if you fill that space up with stuff that's going to make your life amazing. That is why it is so important. There isn't, I can give you, like I am in this video, a general roadmap. But for you specifically, you need to know yourself. You need to know where you are. You need to know where you want to go. And that is really what you need to do in order to really tailor this kind of thing for yourself. So it isn't enough to just stop speaking out negative things. You need to really be aware of, how specific do I want to name this thing? I'm going to name myself whole. I'm going to name every single part of my body in perfect working, functioning order. Like, I'm not going to leave any part of me and my life and everything that I have authority over just to kind of see what's going to happen. We know what that space will do when you let it just see what will happen. You don't get a garden and be like, I'm just going to see what happens with it. You take care of that soil. You till it all up. You plant the seeds. You water them. You make sure that they're going to get enough sunshine. You're going to take care of the garden, because left to its own self, we know that it's just going to get overrun with weeds, right? So it's the same thing in every single part of your life. And I really want you to be aware of the fact that it isn't enough to stop doing something. You need to replace that space, whatever it is, in any part of the area of your life, with something that is beneficial and taking you in the direction that you want to go in an equal amount to whatever it is that you're removing. Okay? So I hope this video has helped you guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel below and turn on the little bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video to this channel.